Next up, we have another fascinating interview from the third sector. Our intrepid reporter, Michelle Parry-Slater, is talking to Jacqueline Turley of the British Pregnancy Advisory Service. She's L&D manager doing some really important work in a really important field. So check this out.
For this month's Charity Learning Consortium piece for Learning Now TV, I am really pleased to be talking to Jacqueline Turley. Jacqueline will be able to talk to us about some fantastic work that's gone on in her organisation over the course of lockdown. Jacqueline, welcome to Learning Now TV. Do tell us a little bit about yourself and your organisation.
Thank you. Michelle, so I'm Jacqueline Turley. I am the Learning and Development Manager for BPAS, which is the British Pregnancy Advisory Service, and we're one of the number one providers of reproductive healthcare in the charity sector for women.
Brilliant. Okay. And as Learning and Development Manager, you've obviously seen a big change during 2020. And I understand that you have kind of split your learning offer as a result. Talk us through, what did you do before and what are you doing now?
Okay, so I joined BPAS in January 2020, initially brought in to have a look at the L&D strategy and try and revamp it to bring it more in line with 21st century. So I have a total commercial and retail background. So it was my first trek into the charity sector, if you like. So the reason we needed to do it was we had quite an old-fashioned offering. It was very classroom-based lecture. So joined in January, and of course then the pandemic hit us, which meant we had to pull everything forward that we had planned to do quite urgently, because all of our clinical staff still needed to keep those skills that they have alive. So we looked at splitting out the training, as you said. So we looked at what do they need to know to be able to do their job, but then the competence skills-based side and the knowledge side about how they put all of that knowledge into practice. So, and looked at some of the behavioural aspects of it as well. So we transitioned all of our knowledge-based learning to online offering, and then held skills workshops online via Teams, Zooms, but also we trained all of our lead nurses into how to be assessors. So when people took that knowledge back into the workplace, they were then assessed at putting it all into practice as well. So a complete blended approach, which was, it was groundbreaking for us. It was so different to what we'd been offering before.
Okay, so very different approach, one that seems to have worked from all accounts. We'll talk about a bit more in a moment, but just talk me through this knowledge base, this theory online piece. So you're taking what traditionally would have been a little bit more of a lecture type classroom, and you're moving it into an online. What was that? What did that look like? How did you do that?
Okay, so we took all of the notes that traditionally people were sat in a classroom, you had a lecturer at the front, read through a PowerPoint. So we took that PowerPoint presentation and made it far more interactive. So we put case studies in there. There are quizzes for people to do as well as they go through, and it does have the voiceover. So it's completely blended, and that means everybody is catered for, if you like. The people that like the real theoretical stuff where they can read it, they can turn the voice off. People that like to listen can listen to the voice. And then you have some of the case studies where people can sit there and make notes against as well.
Cool. And all of that's hosted on our sponsored Charity Learning Consortium site, which is great for them and great for you. It makes it really easy for everybody. Did it work?
It absolutely did work. So there was I wouldn't say resistance, that's a bit strong. It was because this was so new, but we had to find a way because of the pandemic to make sure all these clinical people were getting their training. And we've actually transitioned 95% of our clinical training is now online. So we took everything, used all of our subject matter experts to deliver that content. We brought in a digital training specialist, so we don't have a huge team. We've done all this with just a team of 4 in the L&D department. But we used all of the people that are subject matter experts within the business to put this training together. And we also took advantage of some really, really great free resources that are out there from the faculties of sexual reproductive health and from the Royal College as well.
So we've got the advantage of being able to bring stuff in from outside, which you perhaps couldn't do in that face-to-face session, plus also the consistency of your subject matter expertise. So everyone's hearing and seeing the same and going through the same learning experience.
Yes.
Were there any other reasons? I mean, the pandemic has been a big reason for a lot of people to move over to a digital offering rather than a face-to-face offering. But did you have other reasons for that?
We really just wanted to revamp it. We had a traditional training centre in the middle of the country that people used to have to travel to, and that included overnight stays. So you could have like a 3-hour training course that people would have to travel from the north of England or the south of England to that centre, which took them out of the business for quite a long time. Doing it this way has negated that cost. So we've had a huge cost saving, which for us has been really beneficial as a charity, because we've been able to plough that money back into providing a service to women rather than spending it on training, accommodation, venues and things like that.
Perfect. So the opportunities here for the cost saving, for the geographical disbursement, for, you know, not just saving the money, but actually giving a better learning offer seems to really headed in your favour. Did you have people on furlough who would be able to access this learning that otherwise wouldn't? Or did you have, situation where your spend went down? Can you talk us through a little bit of the data?
Yeah, absolutely. We love data. Yes. So, yes, we did have people on furlough. This is why this was so great for them as well, because it meant they could stay in touch. So when we were doing the training, they could still keep in touch with all the changes we were making with regards to the training. They could still do the training courses. We also put policies on there. So when we had change to clinical policy, we hosted that on there as well. And we even ran a clinical forum, which was normally a 1 or 2 day big conference that everybody went to. We actually ran that online, modular. And people that were on furlough could see those changes to policy as well. And our HR policies we put on there too, that people could do that and have the function of asking and being able to send questions. So metrics wise, so I was sat yesterday having a look at the numbers because I have to report on them monthly anyway. So in the financial year 2019 to 2020, we spent just short of £300,000 on training. Last year, we spent £94,000 on training and have delivered more training. So that's the other big advantage, is where we used to run training courses. Say if we were doing safeguarding, which is a big thing for us, we would have about 12 people sat in a room. This way we could update our safeguarding policy, we could get that training out, and we were hitting 200 or 300 people a day rather than just 12 people a day.
That's amazing. I mean, so it's beneficial both financially, but it's also beneficial for the people themselves going through the sessions. Yeah. Jacqueline, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today on Learning Now TV. It seems apparent to me that without a shadow of a doubt, so many organisations have benefited from the pandemic. It sounds weird even to say that out loud, but I think it's definitely true when it comes to learning and development. We've accelerated this switch to digital. We've accelerated people's acceptance of the change of the switch to digital as well. And certainly BPAS here are demonstrating they're just one other organisation who's benefited. I wonder how your organisation's benefited, and have you actually moved over to a blended approach just like Jacqueline's been describing? Do keep talking to us on social media, and I'm really keen to find out other charities who we can share their stories. I want to give you the opportunity as the audience of Learning Now TV to learn from the best. So do keep talking to us. I'm MIPS1608 on Twitter, and I know that Learning Now TV #LNTV will be very happy to hear from you. Until next time, thanks very much.